Okay, so here we are going to remove these motherboard mount thingies, and we're changing I believe, full-size ITX board to a micro ATX board, so it's shorter and a lot fatter basically than the board I'm taking out, which always has its interesting moments with it. Anyway, what can I say? I have so many different thoughts about these boards, and I'm only guessing it's a micro ITX, or full-size ITX should I say, based on the mini ITX size. And yeah, I don't even know any boards that use that other than the one I took out the PC. It's a very rare format. But you'll see on the left, there's a lot of expansion cards. They're just not going to be used on the standard new board, but they were used on the old one because they didn't have as much built in then. Things like Ethernet, graphics, and even sound were just not built into the motherboard. Which is amazing to think. Now we have all this stuff and we take it for granted to be built in. Also, that plastic thing on the front had a fan and a speaker, but it's removed now. Okay, so here I have something I'm kind of proud of actually. It's a hard drive enclosure thing for a 160GB Toshiba drive, which it does say somewhere. I can just never find it because it's in tiny text. But you'll see, we have a 160GB drive. Try and get a bit closer. And it's got these screws on the back, which with the appropriate, whatever you call it, thingies, it will go into this fan port on the inside, yes, but I'm not opening the PC again just to show this, so that's a kind of handy workaround, I feel, to having to force it in somewhere else. Like, the mounting holes are already there. They should make it secure enough to avoid having problems, and it should be fairly safe with all this tape around it to protect it from interference and whatever. Okay, so here you'll see I'm installing the drive with the SATA power and I believe a SATA to Molex power converter because it's not a SATA power supply. I do move it later from the location it's currently in, and now it's just hanging out on the front, but the basic connections are all the same and it all works the same way. Still, you'll see there it is mounted on the rear. I did move it because I wanted to power an optical drive as well, where it would not reach very well otherwise. Here was the difficult part of plugging these SATAs in. Mind, again, a lot easier than my Lenovo E73 where everything's hidden under a fairly chunky graphics card. Here it was very, very accessible in a very large case, which always helps. So there we go, one SATA plugged in, and we have another power. No, that's signal, sorry. That's going in now. So that's always something. We wouldn't be able to use it if it didn't have a signal connection to it. And a hard drive needs signal and power, or it won't work. So here we have our slightly sketchy Toshiba hard drive with its two fan mount screws holding it in place. And I like... Okay, so here I'm doing some final work with the computer, and I'm just removing the old hard drive, which I don't need. I believe an 80GB Maxtor drive in this case, and what I'm replacing with, I'm not sure, but it's 160GB and 5400 RPM at 2.5 inches, so that's always something. There's a lot of screws on either side of the case. I believe now I'm on the side opposite to the camera, or I've done that side and I'm just moving around, and it just slides right out like that. Same as another one can slide right in that position. Also, I've got to put the backing plate on because, as you'll see, I'm going to put the motherboard in. This one actually has a very nice kind of soft area on the back of it, so the motherboard doesn't hit it so hard and scrape and everything, which is always very nice to have. I've got a 35 series board and that doesn't have anything of a such, so I'm guessing this is just a more expensive board. Speaking of which, this is a GM45CB,
and it has a Core 2 Duo, I believe E8500 at 3.16 GHz, as well as 4 GB of RAM, 2 times 2 GB. Potential for expansion up to 8 GB here with 2 free slots, so that's always good. And we can put a graphics card in if we upgrade the power supply, but I really don't trust it. So I've decided to install my DVD writer into this PC, and I've got my power splitter connects through there now, and I've got to plug the cable in, which is buried somewhere in here. Take my time to find it. And there we go. That is our SATA cable, which gives the signal from the motherboard to a hard drive or disk drive. So now we have a DVD drive in here, and we also have this little nicety, which is a hard drive in this enclosure thingy bracket, which screws in here, and then it allows it to fit quite neatly into here. I can't really force it in there to show you quick enough, but you get the idea. It fits kind of in line with the thingies there, brackets on the case, and it basically makes it act like a 3.5-inch drive, or taking up nowhere near as much space and freeing up cooling, I guess. I'm also going to remove a floppy drive. I've got the spacer, do you call it, out, so that should be fairly easy.